Kelly in accessing a range of supports, both natural and non-natural, is able to shed light on what helps and what doesn't help. And the title of the session is Be the Leader That You Would Follow.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew, for that. So, thank you everyone for turning up on the third day. The crowd's thinned out a little bit, but I appreciate your commitment to the conference. We're starting off, instead of a presentation mode, which I started to prepare for, we decided to have a look at an appreciative inquiry interview setup, because we felt that appreciative inquiry leaves room for relationship building that creates, maintains and is changed by conversation. So it's through conversation that we gather support, we build relationships, we integrate into our practice every day. So we thought it would be a good chance to role model that, and for you to get some skills or some ideas around how that operates and how that works. So
puts me on notice, Kel, doesn't it?
Helen's very good at it, very good.
Kelly, I'm thinking if you're as nervous as I was yesterday, it might be useful just to kind of ground ourselves a bit here. Because I'm probably talking more for me. But so you've been kind of, weaving your way through this conference for the last couple of days, incognito, kind of not. How are you experiencing this place?
It's really opened my mind to how services are run in Tasmania, and that the challenges do cross over to Australia as well. We all seem to...
Tasmania is part of Australia, don't think you should...
Yes, of course you are, but...
I don't think that's a really strong thing to say.
It crosses the ocean, and challenges are similar in both areas, so...
Yeah, because you're not from Tasmania.
No, I'm not from Tasmania. I'm from Brisbane in Australia. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. Excuse me.
But you were sharing with me last night a conversation that you had in the coffee line that I thought was it had us in stitches.
Well, I don't know how, but I was standing in the coffee line grabbing a coffee for Helen, who was just about to speak, and I thought, this is a coffee moment, I'll grab her a coffee.
It was a double shot you got me.
Double shot, straight up. And I happened to start talking with a gentleman in the line, and he asked, where are you staying? And I said, I'm staying at the Seagull. And he said, it's quite a nice motel to stay. And I said, yes, I'm very fortunate to be staying there. I said, where are you staying? He said, I'm staying at the Colonial Inn. And he said, it's a bit rough around the edges. And I said, oh, sorry to hear that. I said, but lucky they're long days. I said, you just need somewhere to put your head and rest. So it's fortunate. So I'm a cup half full girl rather than a cup half empty girl, yeah.
And I think that's something that in our relationship I've always drawn upon, is you always look at that cup half full rather than So Kel, I think this story that you want to tell is something about really drawing on these last 12 months of your life and looking at the opportunities and the cup half full from the experiences where many others would actually see it as a cup half empty. And I'm wondering whether that's worth catching these guys up with that journey, so they kind of get to know you a bit more about where you've been and what the last 12 months has been like.
Sure. The last 12 months has been a bit of a struggle for myself. I'd just come off nursing my mum through chemotherapy and radiation and cancer treatment and the journey of cancer, and we moved in together, and there were trying times and difficult times. And
that was a bit of a role reversal.
Because
your mum had played a different role in your life before that.
Yeah, so definite role reversal. And we both decided, we've got through the treatment. Mum was coming back pretty, rebounding quite good, and we decided to move out and find our own places, and on that I gained employment in disability support working, and it was all just too much at once, and I hadn't really processed the past year and sort of caught up with myself, and so I went downhill quite quickly and needed the assistance of professionals around me to help find my feet and find the ground again, to go forward and to build confidence and take place in my life again.
So you found yourself in this place, the hospital?
I did. I found myself
they found you, or you found it?
They found me first, and a hospital environment was required because I was just, I was pretty much a broken person, and hospital was a place where I'd been before and I was familiar with, and I knew that I could sort of bounce back somehow in hospital. So over the past year I was in 4 hospitals, both private and public. I had 7 ward changes, which was a real skill to adapt to after time. 6 different rooms to acclimatise to and organise my life around. 5 psychiatrists with different advice, different ideas and different beliefs of what was going on for me.
Different treatments as well?
Different treatments. So 2 primary medication changes in that time, and many teams of nurses and well-intentions and good advice. Countless friends also with advice and willingness to help, and frustration as well because they didn't know what to do. That would help me get out of it and get through it. So that's a snapshot of the 12 months.
So Kel, just to because I imagine the environment that you were given to reclaim or to get better, or when you talk about all these changes and all these doctors and all these different hospital admissions and different places, how did that land? How did that feel? How did you make sense of that?
I felt I didn't really have time to get a grasp on how forward, how I was moving forward. I felt quite stagnant, and each change brought on its own challenge again, and I'd take 2 steps back. So it was difficult to follow a thread and find a thread through all the different changes that were going on.
And is there anything you remember in those kind of changes, or when you were trying to be changed by others, that you hung on to?
I hung on to a phone number in my brain.
A phone number in your brain?
Yeah, so that it was constantly there. It was like, if in need, break the glass. And
because in Queensland government hospital, Queensland health hospitals, you don't have access to phones.
No.
You don't have access to. Did you have any belongings of your own?
I did. I had belongings and my phone, but they wouldn't give me access to my phone even to get a phone number off the phone to make a phone call. So I had to go off memory. And
so why this break the glass phone number? That sounds like something that's really...
Why? It's really a lifeline. The phone number that I could remember was a lifeline, and it was a connection to my own self belief in myself.
That someone else could hold that up, that it's still there.
Yeah.
So not having it in your phone, or not relying on it being on your phone, or writing it down, or having to ask.
It's very important. So have your phone numbers.
So can I just get this picture? Because you're on, I imagine, a truckload of medication that's turning your world inside out. You don't know where you are, you don't know which hospital you're in, you don't know who's who in the zoo, and yet you remember an 8-digit phone number.
Yeah, it's pretty, it was pretty important to me.
Yeah, so you hold on to that.
So I got a pen and paper, they privileged me with a pen and paper, and I quickly jotted it down because I didn't know how long it would stay in my head for. And I said, may I ring this number? And they said, yes, you can. So I rang the number, and the number happened to be Helen's number. And I hadn't spoken to Helen for a while.
For years.
Yeah, for years. And I said to Helen, I need to get out of here. This is, not going anywhere. I don't feel like I'm achieving anything. People aren't listening to how I'm feeling. There are no answers, and I'm not coming up with answers for myself. And I was wondering if there's something that I could do that could make a difference.
Yeah. And I was on the other side of the country.
Helen was on the other side of the country, but I knew that a conversation with Helen would bring up my own understanding and bring up some ideas for myself. Helen has a way of unearthing your own skill base and your own ability to draw upon your own resources within yourself.
And I can remember this conversation. I was in a really crowded, noisy venue at a conference, kind of similar to what was on Monday night when the 6,000 gallons of wine were being drunk out there, and kind of finding this quiet little corner and, trying to find Kelly in this and think how to, I can remember a question around something about, what have you got to draw upon yourself here, Cal? And you came back with...
I feel like I've drawn upon everything I can. I feel like I'm depleted and have nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said I asked you another question then that was important that I can't quite remember. But something about
who else in your life, or who else do you see have qualities that
you want,
that you want
to
follow right now? Which came to the title of this presentation is "Be the leader that you would follow." Who you would follow.
So who did you want to follow at that time? Like I'm in Perth, you're in Queensland, in a hospital that's got 20 locked doors before you find a live person. Who was that?
It just came into my mind that I'd follow Jennifer Beale, and I don't know why or where it came from, but she was in Flashdance, if anyone can remember. And she was an actress. She's a fantastic actress, and she is a humanitarian, a parent, strong family connections, that kind of thing. And she's very creative around what she does as well. And I thought, maybe a little bit of acting could help me at this time, could help me have people listen to what I need and what my needs are, instead of, because all I was receiving was the medication is it's all about the medication, and it was like, no, there's more to this, please listen, and time factor, we don't have time to really go through everything. And
so how did you step into Jennifer Beale? How did they get to meet Jennifer Beale rather than this illness thing?
Well, I decided that the way to get out was to act my way out. So I got up every morning earlier than I usually would, because I was a late riser and became a late riser. Had breakfast.
Like Jennifer Beale would?
Yeah, would see to be connecting with people around me, which I don't usually do in a hospital environment. Even
though everything in your body and mind was telling you not to connect?
Yeah, just to stay in my own little box, in my own little square, and... You
broke through that?
I broke through that.
Jennifer Beale broke through that?
Yeah, Jennifer Beale did. Yes, and I spoke with the doctors differently. I spoke about my hopes and my dreams and where I want to go from here, even though they were telling me that there was really, you're only going to get worse after this episode, and you're not going to regain the skills or the personal abilities that you had before this episode. And I thought, no, Jennifer Beale wouldn't fall for that one. So I thought, I'd choose a different road, thanks very much. And that was my beginning to stepping up and becoming the leader, because there was no one to follow except myself at that time.
And Jennifer Beale.
And Jennifer Beale, yeah.
Yeah, she's not getting any royalties for this, I hope. Because you made a comment to me about people noticed you were different at that moment. They didn't know about the Jennifer Beale, and I imagine they made different meanings around what the difference was for you.
Mum came in to one of the appointments with my psychiatrist. It was a team, multidisciplinary team meeting.
A gaggle of people.
A gaggle of people, and Mum knew. She knew I was as mad as 6 cats locked in a box, and she looked at me and just thought, I don't know how long this is going to take or this time's going to take. And she said after the meeting with the doctors, she said, "You performed like a monkey on an Arts Council grant in there." She said, "How are you doing this? What's happening? What's going on? Who are you? Who am I talking to? Are you my daughter?" And I said, "Yes, Mum, I'm still here, but I'm on a mission to get out of here." So I didn't tell her I was Jennifer Beale because she'd probably really start talking to the nurses. And
I'm wondering what the nurses and the doctors made sense of why this sudden kind of energy and focus and kind of I'm leading my life now compared to day before. What sense do you think?
Because there was medication changes, I think they thought that the medication had kicked in. And that that was the change agent in my behaviour and in my ability to step up and be present, instead of all over the shop.
Yeah. And I suppose at that stage it's not really interesting what they believe because they couldn't believe it's the medication.
So from that I graduated to the exiting ward, which was 3C, and.
You might have to explain that a bit, Kel, because I don't know that they have levels here in Tassie like Queensland. Can you graduate up and out? You graduate
up. You
start at the bottom, under the basement.
Yeah, you do, and with no TV and no creature comforts or anything like that.
Doing it tough.
And then you graduate up to the exiting ward where you have a bed with the electric adjust your bed level and sit up, and a TV up in the top. It's like I'm in a public hospital. It feels like a private ward, and it's
and
like,
a menu.
How does this make me want to feel like I want to leave? I want to stay here. This would be fantastic.
And you said something this morning that caught my eye around this. You said something about you got a menu that you could self-select food, which was different from the other wards where they just gave you, but you still didn't choose to self-select the food then.
No, I did take up the opportunity to cross the road every day and go and have breakfast across the road in a coffee shop, just to get that connection with normality again and the trial and the tribulation of building up confidence. And
so, because I'm up for just bring me breakfast in bed, and yet you go, no, I'm
out of here. Open my eyes,
so
and I'm out.
Start living the way you want to live. Out and go across the road every day.
Yeah.
Pay for it out of your own money.
Yeah.
Save Queensland Health some money.
Sure.
And connect.
They said you spend more time off the ward here than on the ward, so you may as well go as well. So that was also positive there.
Can I just come back a bit? Because I think there was a moment that I was witnessed in another hospital, one of your other 5 hospitals, that was a real crunchy turning point that didn't come out of... It was in another hospital. We were sitting out in that courtyard and you asked around you kind of said something about, I got to actually do it myself. Maybe that's something that's really useful to help this group of people understand that place. So
I was in another hospital. I'd had a time at home and that was unsuccessful, and I was admitted into another hospital. And I was in a locked ward and they had a courtyard, and Helen had flown in the day before and came to see me for the first time during this time. And I said to Helen, "Where am I? I don't know what hospital I'm in, and I'm not sure what day it is even, so can you help me out there?" Helen said, "Yep, let's work this out." So Helen said, "Would it be helpful to find out the treatment plan and to find out where you are on that treatment plan and what you need to do?"
What the plan is.
What the plan is. And I said, "Yeah, that would be probably handy right about now." And so my nurse came out and we asked her what would be the treatment plan. Is there a treatment plan, and can we see that? And she said, no, we don't.
You don't have a right to that.
We don't have a right to see the treatment plan. That's just for doctors and nurses to look at. And I said, so how do I know what you need to see from me in order to move to an exiting ward or something? She said, exiting ward. And I said, oh, okay, so it's not that hospital. And she said, no, and Helen said, do you realise you're in breach of Kelly's rights at the moment? And she said, no, I think that only applies to the private system.
But there was a moment, I think, there that you said, that's when I realised I had to be the leader.
That's when I realised I needed to step up again and even push the boundaries a bit further with being a leader again and negotiating my way through it. And because I'd really had a gutful, basically, of the lack of transparency with doctors and professionals and coordination and so it was time to do the Jennifer Beale again.
And it's interesting because this image that you've chosen to represent leadership kind of is something that I think has some meaning, probably deeply for you, but probably for other people. And I'm wondering how you see this image speaking to your concept of leadership and self-leadership.
Yeah, I think that the image spoke to me through that it wasn't as such as for service delivery to be a hero in someone's life, but that everyone has a hero within themselves. And that can come to light through difficult times more so than when times aren't so difficult. So this image was really, it just spoke to me when I saw it. And he looks pretty proud about himself as well.
Pretty ironic.
He's onto it, he's really in the zone.
So this whole sense of a leader having a vision and needing to have a vision. I wonder what your vision for yourself was at that time.
My vision was to successfully get through hospital and stay out of hospital, of course, and also, because I was homeless at the time, to find accommodation and to find a place where I could lead a good life again.
So somewhere along this trip, you actually went to a different hospital and met a new doctor that seemed to be a different experience. And the journey from going from a hospital that didn't hold your vision, that didn't see you, to the journey of one that did, and the car journey in that as well.
I was in the car being transported across to a hospital called Belmont in Brisbane, and it was just by total luck that Dr. Sanjib Barua said, I'll manage Kelly, or not manage Kelly, but I'd like to work with Kelly through this time, and I think we've got something to work with. And so he accepted me on his list of patients. And in the car over there, I thought to myself, I can't just be passive around where I'm heading any longer. I need to find a place where I can use it differently. And the private hospital offered programs, and so cognitive therapy and groups and that kind of thing. And it offered a nicer environment to get well, so a private room. It was an unlocked ward.
You didn't have to go through 6 doors to see a human being.
No, and it was just a fresh start. It felt like I was in a different place.
Can I come back to, because you said something, you made that decision on the way to this place? You hadn't seen it before. It wasn't when you got there that you made the decision. It was something that Jennifer Beale made on the way.
Yeah, it was a decision to start off on a different foot.
As you want to finish.
As I want to finish, yeah.
Yeah. So every journey starts with that first step. So this relationship you talk about with Sanjeev, what does he see in you that others couldn't see in you?
I think he saw that I was hungry to learn, and I was hungry to... And I expected something from myself. I didn't
Expected
know.
more?
I expected more, yeah. I expected to go to work each day, to go to groups, to step outside my comfort zone, even though I was in distress and finding it difficult to take in information in the groups. It wasn't the point, it was the point that I was present and I was involved in something that was worthwhile and contributing to some new information that was coming in.
So it was a working partnership?
Yeah.
And he expected you to work, or you just expected yourself to work?
No, I don't think he encouraged it, but he saw that I was hungry for it.
Yeah, so he met you with that?
He met me with
Yeah.
that. If I wanted to have sat in my room for, I don't know, the month and a half that I was there, I think he would have allowed for that, but he would have but I think he saw that I needed something, that I wanted something better, that I wanted something more.
Were there times in that he actually held the space for you rather than you having to do all the work around, when it became heavy for you?
Yeah, I was really stressed out, and everything was sort of falling in again on me, and I was pulling my shoes on to make a dash for the front door and get out of there, and the nurse just happened to come in doing the obs, and she said, "Where are you off to, Cal?" I said, anywhere that I can go. I can't be here. This is I don't think I'm up for this at the moment, and
scary.
I'm quite scared at the moment. And she said, "Hold that thought, stay here, and don't go anywhere." And she came back in about 4 or 5 minutes and said, "Come with me, Dr. Sanjeev's here," because he has his office on the premises of the hospital. And we sat down, and he said, "We've got an option here." And he said, "And I don't usually use this on people," which was the Involuntary Treatment Act. He said, "But what I'm inviting you to do is to allow me to take some responsibility from you at the moment, because I see that you're really struggling with all the pressures that are on you." And he said, "Perhaps we can have a conversation on how we can make this stay or your room or the people that are surrounding you more of a safe place to be." And I thought, this man really listens. He really listens to me. He listens to my emotion. He listens to what's in the silence.
He listens to the fear.
He listens to the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, I haven't had this for the months that I've been in hospital. This is someone who is on my team, and he was selected right then and there.
Yeah, I choose you to be on my team.
Yes.
You're in. Yeah.
He's in on my team, so...
And yet he used the Mental Health Act to help you.
He did.
And you felt,
Yeah.
if he hadn't have used the Mental Health Act at that time, if he hadn't have said, I want to take responsibility for you, please let me for a few days,
Yeah.
would that have been harder? What was it like to know that he's got, I don't have to worry about bolting for the door?
It would have been harder, definitely. I think it gave me room to breathe and to...
He's got you.
Yeah, readjust and...
He's got you.
And to just say, give yourself 24 hours and breathe through it, you know.
And you knew that he wasn't going to keep that?
No, he said to me that if you think you're ready to come off it, let's have a conversation around that. And it could be 2 days, it could be 4 days, but I'll always keep that door open for you to come and talk to me about that.
So you're in a sticky situation and you needed some help, and he created that, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Do you help in any other ways that you kind of are standout moments that are worth sharing here?
Yeah, when I was looking for housing, and I negotiated with him to go and have a look at a couple of apartments in Brisbane, and they had the pool and the gym and the balcony and the... I was aiming very high.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my finances thinking, well, I could stretch it. It's only $20 more a week. And I thought, but a month, no, I can't do that. I'm not working at the moment. So I had a meeting with Dr. Sanjib, and he said, where are you at, Cal, today? What's happening for you? And I said, I need to budget. I said, I'm just terrible with trying to work out what I can afford and what I can't. And the apartments that I'm looking at, I think, are out of my price range. I said, do you know anything about budgeting? He said, yes, I have 2 teenage children. I know what budgeting's about, he said. So I think we can help each other out some way here. And we spent that whole time, that whole session with him just on working out a budget and coming into what I can afford. And he taught me that there's no point with money putting more due pressure on yourself and trying to stretch and live above your means. That wouldn't be a good way to start off finding somewhere to live.
That sounds like a very different thing for a psychiatrist to do with a patient, is to sit down and do a budget. Was it Sanjeev the psychiatrist sitting with you, or Sanjeev the dad trying to manage his budget with teenage kids?
I think the dad. Yeah, definitely the dad.
He had a bit of skill from that.
Yeah.
So you got this budget, you've worked out that, and then you go hunting for this apartment. How did you know what you were looking for? Because pool, all that nice stuff, the gym, but how did you get to kind of work out?
Well, first I knew what I didn't want, and that was an invitation through services that offered me to, after hospital, to stay in a women's hostel and apply for public housing.
So that was an offer that was given to you?
That was an offer. And
that went where? How did that land?
It didn't land very well, because that wasn't my vision. That wasn't what I hoped and held on to and struggled for most of my life.
That's interesting because you say someone's homeless and you've got a roof, an offering of a roof, and you go, no.
No, thank you. Yeah. I could see her method and her intention and the invitation, but I just couldn't.
Why couldn't you go there?
Well, growing up, Mum had always said that no matter what you do, just be the best at what you can do. And that resounded in me at that time, and I thought, well, the best I can do is, and also the doctor saying that I couldn't return to how good I was before, earlier on in the conversation, it was a challenge to...
So they were inviting you into somewhere going south, and you've got Jennifer Beale going this way.
Yeah.
So it gave you energy to... So how did you decide what you were looking for? What was the process you used? You talked about a tool.
Well, Helen brought in a tool for me, which was just a piece of paper that we scrounged up and a pen.
It was out of my bag. It was definitely scrounged up.
And a pen, and Helen drew some circles, and we had a look at the... I'll just bring it up here. We broke it down into three separate circles. So it was focused on the accommodation. So what was the must-have things that I couldn't go without when I was looking at selecting a property to live in? So the must-have things was security, living on a first floor, not a ground floor, and preferably a new environment, so a new apartment.
So the security, is that just a key, or was it something else?
I'd like I was looking for an intercom downstairs where you could buzz people up,
And why was that in your must-haves?
for safety, just for safety. Yeah, yeah, and for the choice of who I wanted to let into my home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You'd forgo the pool, you'd forgo the spa, as long as I've got an intercom.
the must-have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the desirable but not essential. So there was the pool was desirable but not essential, which started off as a must-have but moved down the list. The gym was desirable but not essential. Space I wanted in the beginning, but it was kind of like, no, I'd forgo space for what I must have. And so if we're trying to build a picture here and get really precise and concise about what I really needed at that time, and what hadn't worked in the past as well, also informed this circle. So, and then there's the no-go zone. So no granny flat or living underneath people in a house. You know how you get those sort of situations? So I didn't want to be in that situation. So that was definitely a no-go zone. I also needed to be at least an hour and a half away from my mother. Sorry, Mum, if you're watching this. But that was.
Why was that important?
That was important because I just needed to find some autonomy, because we'd lived with each other for that year and we'd become very entwined and let's face it, a little bit dysfunctional. And I just needed to be independent and autonomous around my own life again. And so yeah, this tool was just hit the mark straight away and put me back on my vision, and made it clearer.
And easy when you're going through realestate.com.
Oh, much easier to just go, no, yes, that one's a good one, no. So it made the job and the task a lot easier.
So everything that the Women's Hostel and the group home and the Housing Commission was offering didn't meet that call?
It didn't meet the call,
So
no.
you couldn't go there?
No.
Yeah. So this picture isn't your apartment, but pretty close.
Pretty close to what I found. Yeah.
Your European appliances?
Yep. Yeah, first one to live there. So I was quite happy with the outcome.
And this is all on disability support pension. You haven't got a private stash somewhere?
Disability support pension. But I did add to my vision that I needed to find work in the next 6 months, because I negotiated with the landlord and the
You're getting knocked back and knocked back and knocked back.
I applied for 30 places and they all knocked me back. And I thought, I've got to do something different here. So I spoke directly to the property manager and I said, look, I really, really like this apartment. It ticks all the boxes. Is there something I can offer you that would maybe bring it more into my favour of getting it? And he said, well, really, the affordability is a difficult situation. You really don't have a good, strong income to be able to afford the rent. And I said, well, what if I was to accept an apartment that maybe you were having difficulty renting out, and also offer you 3 months rent in advance to cover me for 3 months? And he said, well, that might just seal the deal. Let me call the owner. And he spoke to the owner and they came back and said, you've got the apartment. So, and I've lived there for 5 months now and I'm still 3 months in advance. So it's...
I remember you telling me something about what you promised the property manager at that time about you as a tenant.
That I'd be the best tenant in the building, that I'd keep it clean and I wouldn't be a nuisance to anyone.
And when they came to do the first inspection,
they took photos and for the owner, and also there was a comment saying, well, I hope that the rest that I see today are kept so lovely.
This is the standard we want you to reach.
Yeah.
That wasn't the only tools you've talked to me about what you've drawn upon to kind of enact your vision. There are other tools that are important in your kit bag.
Journaling.
Yeah.
Journaling was another tool that kept me on track and kept me in the observer role of what was happening and the counsellor role. It also communicated to me what my needs were at the times and how they were changing and what support I needed to draw on and when. Excuse me. Also, I'd used in the past a booklet, so it was Self-Determine Your Life or something like that it's called. And it's a planning book around your life and what you'd like to achieve. And in it, you come up with the vision. And I thought, well, that has worked in the past and I'm sure I could use it now. So I asked Helen to print it off and bring it in. And that was part of my homework with Dr. Sanjib, was to do this booklet.
So he knew about the book. You told him about that.
Yeah, I told him about that. And
Yeah.
he said, well, that would be a great thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
So in addition to the groups and the cognitive therapy and the programming, I did the booklet as
So
well.
it wasn't a restful place in terms of you worked hard.
But I thought in order to work in 3 months, I needed to get in the zone and build up that resilience.
So every day you got out of bed in hospital, you approached it as if you were at work in your life, as if you were leading your life.
Drove Mum crazy bringing clothes in, but it was like, no, I need to get dressed in different clothes each day and be set off from my day like I'm going to work. Yeah.
Oh, I can take it. So I shouldn't go to work in my pyjamas.
Your me suit.
My me suit, yeah.
That's a private joke.
There's a really important story, I think, that I'd love you to share with these guys around chocolates.
Yeah, so
this kind of, because I imagine they're thinking that's keeping you well, but there's a story around this that's probably the pivotal about why we're here to have conversations.
yeah, it's around how natural supports at times trump service support. So, and it's always the first avenue to visit if you're supporting someone or if you're assisting someone to support their own life.
So this day you get up,
Yeah.
and chocolates came part of the story. What was on your radar when you got up that day? What did you
Well, I needed to get some applications in, some application forms in for finding the apartment, and I need to get onto that because I didn't want to stay in hospital forever, and I didn't have anywhere to go to when I left hospital. So I thought I've got to get this done now, and I'm sure the only tools that I could use was the fax machine and copier and computer that was behind the administration desk, but I'm sure they wouldn't let me in.
So you went shopping?
So I went shopping for chocolates as a bribe to invite them to help me out with the task at hand.
Kel, I know the physical layout of what that took because it's kind of, not far, it's in Brisbane, but I don't think these guys, thinking I've got to get chocolates and getting them. Can you just walk us through what that took? Because paint the picture.
So the hospital's probably about, how far away would it be?
From here?
Not good with, no, from the shopping centre.
Well, it's on top of a hill.
Yeah.
And you've got to get down the hill.
Yeah.
You've got to cross 6 lanes of traffic.
6 lanes of traffic, and then
And it's big.
it's a Westfield, so I don't know
Mega.
if you know. It's full on. And
And you got noise, and you hadn't been...
I'd been hearing voices, and I thought, how am I going to distinguish between what's happening, what's real and what's not real? And I was quite nervous about it, but the drive and the desire to buy the chocolates and to get my task done outweighed the risk of falling in a heap in public. So,
And you had gone out before today?
No, I hadn't been out in public since having breakfast in Nambour. Yeah. So it had been probably 3 months. 3 months. Yeah.
And so
I put the blinders on.
Yeah,
you know
how'd you
how
do it?
horses have blinders. I had the
You're on a
mission. I
mission.
just saw chocolates in my head, and it was like supermarket chocolates, and I just got there and got the chocolates and came back, and then I'm standing at the foot of the hill, and it's like there's a bloody hill to walk up now. I forgot I walked down this hill now. I need to walk up another hill, and it's quite apt to what happens in visions and in goals. It's like it's never ending. We're always another hill to climb, kind of thing.
So you got out, got through 6 lanes of traffic.
Yep.
Got your blinkers on, got to a Westfield with hundreds of shops, found the chocolates, got in, got out, and you get back and there's a hill.
Yep, the hill. And I'm not a fine figure of fitness, so it was a bit of a, and the day wasn't ending yet. I was only halfway through what I needed to get done.
So with these chocolates, what did you do with them? How did you negotiate what you needed?
So it was quite simple. It was just that I spoke to a lovely lady named Jan, and she was the main administration officer in the building, and I said, I know that you have 100 tasks to do today, but I was wondering if you could help me with something that I need to kind of get done, and it would make my day a great day if I could get it done. Would you be interested in contributing to that? And she said, let me have a think. What do I need to do? And I said, it's just a matter of faxing and emailing. And she said, well, I can do that. That'll be fine. And I said, and I'd like to give you these chocolates for your afternoon sugar fix. So she was like, we don't need the chocolates, but we'll accept them, and I'll help you through this.
There's something here, because so even in the craziness of your mind of what was happening there, you chose the admin support. Why? Why not a worker? Why not a nurse? Why not Sanjeev? Why not someone that was paid to do that job with you?
There was a risk of someone doing it, like for instance a social worker could have helped me with it, but she would have outed me.
Outed you as?
As having a mental illness to the housing, to the...
Why would my social worker be contacting that?
Yeah, why would somebody need a social worker to contact a project manager and set up an appointment to see an apartment?
House. Yeah.
So I didn't want to identify with illness through where I was choosing to live.
Wow.
Yeah.
And amongst all this, there's something that told you, don't go that direction, go the hard road, but because it's too risky to go the easy road.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's knowing even in that, your invitations into that space were probably there to offer to go to bring my illness into navigating my world, but yet you found a creative response and the resource was there.
The resource was there and it was a natural response.
So you used your email?
Yep, my email and resource there, yeah.
So being the leader of the person you want to follow requires you to select a team, to be the team leader, and you've talked about people that you've selected in different roles, and this image that you've chosen as a cycling team, and I'm wondering who's on your cycling team, how do they know they're on your cycling team, and where are you, and how does this work for you?
I think that the people on my team shared similar values to me, and also had a vested interest in the vision that I held. So I think that, and most of the team members were natural support, so they already knew me, knew what made me tick, and knew my sensitivities around things, and my trust was a really big part of selecting team members to assist, and also the opportunity to give back or be on their team as well was really important to me.
So you're on Sanjeev's team as much as he's on yours?
I think I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your team as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's reciprocated,
Yeah.
and it's a way to give back, but it's also a way to,
To live life.
pardon?
To live life.
To live life, yeah. It's a value of mine that I have. Yeah.
So this story, I'm hearing some really important things around being the leader is really important. To step into that space, to kind of the creativity, that the resources that we need to live well are all around us, and they may not be the ones that we naturally just go straight to, but they're there. And finally, you're saying that natural supports trump service supports.
They do.
Yeah.
They do for me.
And
yeah.
all those three things are needed in order to be the leader that you wish to follow.
Yes, it was. It was, yeah.
There's a song in this, isn't there? That
That came to mind.
that came to mind.
Hero inside yourself.
Yeah.
Search for the secrets you hide.
You can dance.
Search for the hero inside
Thanks, Cal.
yourself. Until you find the key to your...
Thank you very much.